bum, 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 bum. And nice. We're off, I think. It is Friday the 4th of July, Independence Day in America, AD 2025 AD, Independence Day, 4th of July. What's up, everybody? There are people on hold calling in. There are, I'm sure there are super chats, or there may be super chats for me to get to. And we're going to have a fun, loosey-goosey Independence Day show, okay? So let's get ready to get going over here. I'd like to open up the, what shall I do? A lighthearted song, I guess. Yes, I'm 18 and over. Oh, I have to unmute the volume over here. Complicated business, folks. I disavow everything that's said on the Hake report, including by Hake. I don't necessarily disavow it, but I disclaim it. Because you come back sometime later, I don't even remember what I meant. Or I may have had no business saying it. Or whatever. I try to control myself, but nobody controls themselves perfectly. But anyway, the views expressed on the Hake report do not represent Hake. They definitely don't represent the Anchor Baby or Joelle Friday TV, no longer with us, or JLP, or the JLP Network, or Bond, or anything like that. The views are just... Ah, see, it didn't work. That's not it. Yeah. The views are just the views of the people themselves, and they may not even be the views of them, of they themselves. It could be the blindness of them themselves, you know, of their false, lame-o, ridiculous self. Shout out. Anchor Baby is helping Hake make this show happen, you know. Without the Anchor Baby, we'd be calling Bill. Bill, you set us up on purpose. Shout out to Bill, the engineer. So, yeah, this show is for entertainment and a little bit of education, because you get educated by my ignorance. Because I'm very ignorant on history, geography, biology, algebra. That is a Muslim thing. I'm okay on algebra, actually. So, you know, entertainment and general information, and then people get it off their chest. But I try to contain that. I'm pro censorship to a point, you know, but I do try to let people get it off their chest if they can, especially if they can do it in a classy way. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Yes, I do. Tennis shoe. But I love the spirit of the freedom of speech. That's something that JLP has. That's something that Donald J. Trump has. You notice that Trump really listens. And you notice that JLP also really listens. And so, as I get ready for the show here, here's a lighthearted track. Let me turn it a little bit down further. To catch... Now I can't see. You know what? I shouldn't have done that. Let me go. I see it. Pull it over here like the Anchor Baby would do. As we play this beautiful song. As we play this beautiful footage of Benelli Park, California, in wherever. San Dimas High School football rocks.
Here's a live-hearted song inspired by Jesse Lee Peterson and his team, showcasing their roles and personalities.
Sorry, guys.
In the morning light,
not sorry, but
waves at night.
Forgive me.
Jesse Lee's got the truth inside. With Hake on the mic, he's bold and clear, breaking it down year after year. It's the Jesse Lee Show, spreading what they so strong, the message carries on. Truth and love all day long. It's got a spark, the anchor baby flare.
Hey.
Joel Friday's beats fill the air.
No longer.
With wisdom and fire, they paved the way. Guiding the lost,
Get away from
come
this
what
song
may.
next
Through the highs and lows, the voices rise, challenging the world, clearing the skies. It's not about fame, it's about the calm, rebuilding the man, rebuilding the soul. It's the Jesse Lee Show, spreading what they know, uniting the races, tearing
Hake
down
AI.
the foe. With the crew so strong, the message carries on. Truth and love all day long. It's the Jesse Lee Show, spreading what they know, uniting the races, tearing down the foe. With the crew so strong, the message carries on. Truth and love all day long.
Shout
Nick's got
out.
a spark. Nick's got a spark, the spark, the anchor baby flare. Joe Friday's beats fill the air and down the phone.
At one time they did.
With the crew so strong, the message carries on. Truth and love all day long.
Thank you, Jake Hudson.
Nick's got a spark, the anchor baby flare. Joel Friday's beats fill the air. With wisdom and fire, they paved the way. Guiding the lost, come what may. Through the highs and lows, the voices rise, challenging the world, clearing the skies. It's not about fame, it's about the call, rebuilding the man, rebuilding the soul. It's the Jesse Lee Show, spreading what they know, uniting the races, tearing down the foe. With the crew so strong, the message carries on. Truth and love all day long. Through the highs and lows, the voices rise, challenging the world, clearing the skies. It's not about fame, it's about the calm, rebuilding the man, rebuilding us all.
What a
From
mess.
dawn to noon, to make it clear, the voice of reason, the voice we hear. So tune in, folks, and don't delay. The Jesse Lee team is here to stay.
Okay.
This playful tune captures the energy and unity of Jesse Lee Peterson's team. Let me know if you'd like to refine it further.
Well, thank you, man.
Shooting on some public.
We'll have to refine it. If we refine it, we'll have to refine
Never heard of Ganesh at high school.
Friday away. But thank you, man. Very cool. You may hear me talking about this map here that we're looking at on the video feed of this
Killed his
old footage. But I have calls to get to and
set her on fire. His
and
car
super chats to get to, I think. And what's up, Dustin? What's up, Gerta?
not racially motivated.
Is that Creighton? Donnie, girl, Cameron, Christopher, AG, Patriots Awash. Yes, I recorded this video footage. It is Friday, and anyway, guys, let me speak loudly to drown out the other Hake that's talking in the background here. Let's just get on with...
Why'd they turn it so green?
This is so obnoxious. Let me just mute me. Because that's more professional. The show! Oh, Lord. What?
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys! I hope you're enjoying the AJ Gallardo original theme song of the Hake Report. Christmas Eve 2017. It is so awesome. It's my favorite. But I like the short and sweet Trevor Wesley version as well. Shout out.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So... Hold on one moment. Oh, that was AI. Yeah, it was AI literally singing a song. It was fake. It was not even a real person's voice. Yep. Quite impressive, huh? I guess. Yeah, it was sweet. Yeah. So, hey guys, I'm wearing a red and blue shirt, and it's a collared shirt. I haven't worn a collared shirt in a while. Do I need a tan, or am I just vain, or both? Don't answer that. And it has the fruit that I don't like. Watermelon. I don't like melon. I don't like cantaloupe. I don't like watermelon. I do like watermelon cocktail. So nice. But yeah, it's I like it because it's a shout out to the blacks and the people who like watermelon. It's sort of reminiscent of a barbecue, and you barbecue hot dogs and hamburgers for the 4th of July, for Independence Day. Hey guys, happy Independence Day. Very sweet. No, this is not for sale. It's a beta shirt. Sharp dresser. Hey, thank you, man. Just don't look at my jeans. Okay, so I'd like to get right to some calls here before I get into any stories. First of all, GREGGATRON out of the Midwest. How you doing, GREGGATRON? Thank you for calling and holding, man. What's up?
What's good with you?
Everything.
That's right. Good answer.
Thanks, man.
Man, so I saw that little video on JLP. They call it the Daddy's March. Is that right?
Yeah, Daddy Stroll or something like that.
The Daddy Stroll.
Where black fathers, hundreds of them, took strollers and their young babies, mostly daughters, I noticed, for a little walk together and had a photo shoot, as JLP called it. Because black fathers have been mostly like absent or not married to the mothers. And so they're trying to show a change, show something positive in the black community.
Oh my gosh. Ridiculous.
I thought so too.
When I saw that, I almost was disgusted, but I was more so sad for them because they're openly saying the black community is so bad that we need to throw an event to show that there are fathers in the home. There are fathers who are with their kids. So it's almost like they're admitting defeat just by being there at the event.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how bad the fatherlessness is, that they had to throw something like that.
That's right. It reminds me of when they invented Father's Day, or they made it official, you know? Father's Day has been around for like 100 years or so, but the fathers have been less and less fatherly and being there and being strong over the past century. And it became official in like the 60s, and that's when it was a crisis in the black community. Father's Day is another men pushing a stroller type of event where you're trying to hold on to something that's slipping away, that's already gone, admitting defeat, like you pointed out.
It was pathetic. The men who were there looked so pitiful, like they didn't want to really be there, but they just looked weak.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about, go ahead.
Even more obviously, who didn't want to be there were the grown, teenage, adolescent age sons who were there with their fathers and their baby sisters or whoever. I don't know if you caught glimpses.
Yeah, I heard you.
Because those adolescent boys, they're starting to see through the illusion that their parents are perfect or good or God. And so they're starting to judge their parents, and they turn dark and judgmental like their mothers and their parents. And
right.
And so they really didn't want to be there. It looked like.
If these were real dads, they'd be out with their kids fishing, they'd be out hunting, they'd be out running errands with their kids. They'd be taking their kids to the park, playing ball with their kids. They would not have gone to something so weird and bizarre as that. But it's like, I was thinking about my dad and my friends' dads growing up. Those dads are all baby boomers, right? Those dads.
You're talking about
my dad.
your dad, and
Yeah. Like
Yep.
my dad and your dad.
Yep.
Big Bump's dad. They're all like baby boomers, and they would have never gone to anything that silly ever.
Yeah.
It's just, it was like a display, like a car show. You know, when you go to a car show, everybody's just showing off. Look at how wonderful my car is.
Yeah, showing off.
It's like, look at how wonderful my dad is.
Yeah.
Like, my dad is here.
That guy. That's the guy I was. Sorry, I just saw the
It's
glimpse.
horrible.
It totally is.
It's horrible. It's like I'm almost mad about this. That's how bad
I know.
it is. It's the same thing when I was younger, when people would tell me, "Hey, I'm glad you come to work every day with your pants on your butt and you're not sagging and you're not cursing and using all the slang and all this stuff." And I have a female friend, she'll say like, "Congratulations on buying your home, especially as a black man."
Yeah.
So what she's saying is black people don't own nothing. So when we do what we're supposed to do, the other blacks who think less of us, they pat us on the back for doing what we're already supposed to do.
Yeah.
And the dads, they're supposed to be with their kids. They're supposed to be fathers. So why would you then throw an event for something that they're already supposed to be doing? It's just ridiculous.
It really is, man. You remind me of, oftentimes I will hear black parents over the decades say, "Oh, yeah, I raised good children. They've never been to jail." I'm like,
right.
What? That's a very low standard. I mean, they rattle off a bunch of other things. They graduated, did this and that.
Yeah.
But those are basically
got
like
a
the
job.
standard. Yeah. That's like,
Yeah.
oh, you want a medal, or, that doesn't make them a good kid. It doesn't make you a good father or mother. And it doesn't make you a bad one if they went to jail or anything. These are just shallow judgments on, they're
You're
not getting to the root
supposed to be a
issue.
productive member of society.
Yeah. And by the way, I like criminals. Because sometimes criminals repent and they become better than the hoity-toity do-gooders,
Yeah.
So, anyway. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Back when Joel worked there, I told him I wish he could have dived deeper into the black community thing because there were so many onion layers.
Yeah.
Because it's so deep, man. It's like black people really need to be studied for this type of mess.
Yeah, totally.
It's just crazy to me.
They're turning white in the worst way, because like JLP said, he used to only see white fathers pushing strollers, and it's because whites have been subject to the feminism too, and so they're turning in towards education and being rich and spoiled and stuff. And that's not the right type of whiteness to emulate, and being all into education. But yes, it's good to get educated and get a house and become a father and get married and stuff. That's not necessarily bad. It's in general, it's in the direction of what's right potentially. But
that's just normal stuff, though.
It
That's
is
normal.
And they're
to
forgetting
get a house, to have a family, and whatever.
And they're forgetting the
like
basics.
It shouldn't be congratulated.
Right. Their ego. The problem is their egos have been stroked with this so-called civil rights movement, and now this is stroking their egos with the so-called going in the direction of what's right. But their ego is the problem. So it's just they've traded one thing to be proud of for another. So what a mess.
Yeah. And as far as the stroller thing goes, I go to the park a lot, and I'll see a family, but sometimes the dad is pushing the stroller, but the way I see it, maybe he's doing it because he's protecting the kids from whatever's out there.
This guy.
What do you think? Like, do you think, another thing, when I go to the grocery store, if the dad is pushing the food, doesn't that mean maybe he's in charge of, he's buying the food and she's going to cook the food? I don't know. I don't put too much thought into it, but I don't know.
I don't usually see the father go to the grocery store. Well, actually, it's not the father's job to go to the grocery store.
Sometimes they'll go as a family.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
cringe.
But
Look at this guy.
I don't
This is
know.
the picture. Well, you can't really
I can't
see
see
it
it.
yet.
I'm on the phone.
Yeah, but I'm telling the audience to look at this young man. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. He sees through the crap. This is phony. Get me out of here. I want to be home playing video games or outside with my friends. What a
The
mess.
grocery store thing, the grocery cart I get, as far as the park goes, I see guys who they like jog with their dog or with the stroller or both at the same time.
Wow.
They see it as like exercise and it gives the baby fresh air and it helps the baby sleep.
Yeah.
So I don't care about that being beta.
Right.
But it's just the other thing I talked about earlier. That's just totally, it looked pitiful, that little, was it a parade or just a march? Like, whatever it was pitiful and it was ridiculous.
They call
And
it.
thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, man. Daddy and me stroll or Daddy stroll Chicago or something.
Chicago.
Yeah.
And of course it's going to
Chicago.
be in Chicago. Out of all places.
Yeah.
That's where black crime is crazy. Black kids fighting black kids.
Yeah.
So of course they're gonna hold it there to make it look like, oh no, we do care.
Yeah.
No, if y'all cared, something would be done about it. It wouldn't just be silliness like this. Like
Yeah.
y'all voted for that mayor, Brandon Johnson,
Yeah.
who is the worst of the worst of the worst.
Total
And now y'all
phony.
see the results of his policies as far as crime and whatnot goes. And now you want to hold this little daddy's march to make it look better.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm so sick of these people. It's crazy, but I'll let you get back to your show.
Great call, man. I appreciate it as
All right.
always. Happy Independence
I'll try
Day
to call
you.
back. I'll try to call back probably September, maybe Labor Day or something. Hopefully Big Bumpy there.
Yeah, hopefully so.
All right. For
Thanks again,
sure. See ya.
All right.
All right. Bye.
GREGGATRON from the Midwest. Oh, let me read this super chat from while I'm here. Oh, there's a few super chats actually. I read the one from C-Bill, which goes, Ardeen is just like Mama, beta female, laughing face. And Hake did Joel and his wife got accidentally deported. Just kidding, joking. Or LM Blanco. Sup, Hake says Cesar or Caesar. 3 coffees. That interaction you had with the first caller today was kind of funny. Apparently, that was Joe from Michigan, I think, yesterday. Apparently, Ben, which is usually short for Benjamin, is that a Jewish name or a tribe of Benjamin name? Israelite name? Dover is the nickname of a schmornography actor, according to Google. Oh, terrible. Not surprised. Nasty. Anyway. He searched it. He tried to Google the man who doxed his brother or whatever. The man whose brother doxed him. Back in my beta days, I actually believed Sandra Bland was murdered by police. Wow. I remember going deep down that rabbit hole. Shame on me, he says. Wishing everyone is well. Celebration. 10 thumbs up. 10 okay. Symbol. Thanks, Cesar or Caesar. That's cool, man. Interesting story. That's why you be patient with people. They sincerely don't know. Okay? Based America First with the coffee. Happy Independence Day. Thanks, man. Happy Independence Day to you. Based America First. Yesterday, which was Thursday, Breaking 911 posted on X that Florida state demon rats were denied entrance to Alligator Alcatraz. They must have wanted to check on their voters. It would have been better to deny them exit. Come on in. And you're not coming out like the Hotel California or whatever. But I don't know that. Anyways, Caesar or Cesar, 3 more coffees. Sup, Hake, happy White History Month. Happy Independence Day, my friend. Thanks, man. Happy White History Month and Independence Day to you as well, Mark in Los Angeles, one of my callers. Hey, Hake, did you know that 2 of the founding fathers of this great country were in their early 20s? I didn't know that. That's cool. I may have known that. But yeah, these people were, they had to mature at a younger age. And it would be nice to return to maturing at a younger age rather than enabling and holding people back in life so that they become old and immature and waste their life. We waste our lives, you know? You're 40 before you know it. You're dried up as a woman before you know it. Alas, all is not lost, dried up ladies. Shout out. We love you if we love anybody. That's a sort of a vulgar way to say it, too. I disclaim that statement. Ladies, both barren and fertile, we love you all the same with a godly agape love. I shouldn't laugh. Anyway, it's a shame how today's beta males have become and will probably never live up to the standards of our founding fathers. What's your opinion on that, Hake? Have a safe weekend, everyone. Thank you, Caesar or Caesar. You really set me off on a tangent. It's because I'm a mouth breather. Shout out to Lin Yen Chin. I would say that they were a product of their time. You know how hard times make strong men. And also their parents. They had better parents, perhaps, than ours in many ways. But they were a product of their parents. You can't just blame the boomers. Somebody raised the boomers basically to be that way. And yeah, there were evil influences, very unchristian influences as well. But who raised their children to be subject to such influences? Granted, everybody is born in sin and is subject to evil influences. Vulgar Hake, says Peter R. I know, yeah. I repent. It may be a repentance that I have to repent many times. So is it real repentance? But I'll just use the term loosely. Loose, like all too many morals will say. Loose morals, loose words. It's not right. That's why I disclaim everything on Hake. But yeah, I think it's kind of... I'm learning, I guess, to cut our generation some slack. Ew, Hake, LOL. Scrunch face, tongue sticking out, says Lisa. Yeah, sorry, Lisa. Our resident health expert. Oh, look at those black dads there. Why would anyone willingly go to Alligator, Alcatraz? Low IQ. Some liberal women I know actually flew down there. Really, to Alligator, Alcatraz? Nice. Nice to see you over there on the Facebook crew. Lisa, our resident health expert. But I'm kind of learning to cut our generation some slack because these generations of the last 100 years were spoiled. It's like the nation of Israel. Some generations they turned back to the Lord because they were desperate and needy, whether that's a real turning back to the Lord or not. And then others turned away from him, got comfortable. That's why you have to become an individual, you know. No longer will a man teach his neighbor, know the Lord, for they will all know him. I believe that everyone has common sense. It's just that they have lost access to it. They've been cut off from the common sense that is common to all, because God made all, right? And we've been cut off from the common sense, the Holy Spirit within. The Holy Spirit, I think, is common sense. Like God said, I think it's in the Bible, one of the promises, I will give good sense to the godly. Or he will give good sense to the godly, his saints. Good sense. Isn't that great? The Jews brainwashed Hake with this Israel propaganda, LOL. I don't know what stuff you're talking about, Kiyasimo. Here, let me see. What's he saying? He's saying, blah, blah, blah. Read my comments. It screams fireworks. Look at your shirt. You know you want to talk about fireworks, Hake. Hake, talk about fireworks. Nice. Pushing kids in strollers is working smarter, not harder. I know, but sometimes it's better to work hard, not to look so beta pushing a stroller, rather than being smart and pushing a stroller. Carry your kids if you got to have the kids with you that have to be carried, fathers. Or leave them at home with the mothers since they can't walk themselves. Good morning, Jim in Alaska. And thank you, Cesar or Caesar. Let me double check Streamlabs. Thank you, Greggatron and Linya and Shin. Linya and Shin. As always, let's get to Daniel in Texas, Tejas, who is on the line here. Daniel, thanks for calling and holding, man. Happy Independence Day.
Thank you, James. Happy Independence Day to you as well.
Thanks.
And happy White History Month.
I appreciate it. So even though you agree, and I kind of agree with you, that it is a mistake to identify as white publicly, you still love and appreciate White History Month. That's mature of you.
Yeah, do it in your closet.
Indeed. In your prayer closet.
Right, and that's where we are today.
That's right. Truly.
We've been doing this for a while. You know, the first time I called in, I think, was in May of 2020 about the American Civil War. And I had always been, at that time, kind of towards the end of the show, and I'd only have like a few seconds to get my words in. But it was to counter what was coming out of a certain snake, if you will, and that propaganda. Do you remember all this?
I sort of do, actually, because a certain snake who used to just say horrible things about one of our heroes, one of our Confederate American, but also American heroes, Robert E. Lee.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was at the very beginning of your calling in. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that, he had been around, and that was basically your back and forth with him was this tarnishing of Robert E. Lee.
Yeah.
And anyway, so a couple years ago, and on the 4th of July, was kind of my first breakthrough where I was able to, in my opinion, explain what's going on in the American Civil War. So that it's clear that you don't really have this bad guy, good guy situation. And
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And
I do, because there are very fine people on both sides, we could say.
Right. And I think the biggest misconception about the American Civil War is that it is doomed to go one way from the very beginning. And if it's not doomed to go one way from the very beginning, it's doomed to go one way on July 3rd of 1863 because of Gettysburg. And then the next 2 years, it's just a downhill. It's just doomed. And that is, in my opinion, the biggest lie, if you will, in American history. And that's why on 4th of July, I always like to address that, because it is the time of year that this battle went down. The American Civil War is, in my opinion, the most important time in American history. Nothing even comes remotely close to it. Not even the founding of the country. Because a lot...
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Explain.
Because a lot of what we know of the United States, its laws and its culture, stems from the result of that war, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And the liberation of slaves, that wasn't a thing, before that time. Now you have that. Now all the laws, all the dominion of this new world, this enterprise, stems from the American Civil War. So that's why I like to talk about it.
Yeah.
But this war could have gone a very different direction. And as much as I indulge in fiction, I don't typically like to indulge in counterfactual history. But it's clear when I take the time to look into what's going on in the American Civil War that it could have gone either way at various points all the way through the end of the war. There were still tens of thousands of Confederates in arms when the Confederacy surrendered. They still had a means to fight. So, but in particular, Lee, there's this dynamic of Lee that really makes this Confederate dream a reality, that this is a very possible thing. And Lee's bond with his Army of Northern Virginia. And he is able to take this aggressive approach that none of the other Confederate armies were able to do. They were always in this defensive mode, always on the back foot, always picking up their resources, picking up what they can carry and moving. You know, they would eventually move to Cuba if Lee didn't do something. And Lee wants aggression. He wants aggression, and he is looking for an officer corps for his high command that will press the Federals. And he is doing this in the Eastern Theater, which is the most political part of the theater. And he is going to push this army past its limits to its breaking point. He is going to ride this wave of victories from when he takes field command in 1862 through Gettysburg, and he is going to see in his men them achieving the impossible time and again. And he is going to ride this wave all the way through Gettysburg. And a lot of the mistakes that are had at Gettysburg is because of this expectation of his men to achieve the impossible. And a lot of the blame that Lee places at Gettysburg, Lee is not one to blame people, but he does blame Ewell. Richard Ewell is one of his high command for not taking an initiative when he perceived that he should have. Ewell perceived that it would be too hard to take a certain point. And a lot of that unfolds at Gettysburg. But I just wanted to kind of share that for White History Month.
How do you spell Richard Ewell? I don't know how to spell it.
Ewell.
Thanks. Okay. So Lee blamed him for being a beta, holding back when he should have pressed forward.
Yes. Yeah, Lee blamed him. But most of the people there were sympathetic to Ewell. And there was the first Corps commander, James Longstreet's artillery officer, Alexander Porter Alexander, perceived in his memoirs at a later date something that was very dangerous to his stature as a in politics as a former Confederate, and he squarely placed the blame of the Confederate blunder at Lee's feet.
Wow.
It was Lee who was pushing an initiative blindly. He didn't have the proper intel he needed on the enemy positions, and he was launching assaults against a heavily defended position.
Wow.
And so
Lee was both he was the one to make the South formidable, but also eventually to break it as well.
He pushes this army beyond what it's able to do.
Yeah.
I mean, these are men that are barely holding it together. They're barely holding their souls into their body at this point. They're starving. They've been pushed to their limbs. But what they see is the same thing that Lee sees, so they do it.
Yeah.
They launch themselves against this fortified position.
They didn't know.
They didn't know. But what they saw in Lee was a man who could achieve the impossible, and what Lee saw in his men was an ability to achieve the impossible. He had witnessed them do this in multiple battles leading up to this point, and victory was at hand as far as he was concerned, and he needed to seize it now. There would be no other opportunity.
You know, I was thinking about Robert E. Lee, the general, earlier this week, because I was thinking, you know, it's White History Month and stuff. And I was pondering, there are like talented and forceful men in the world who make stuff happen. And he seemed to be one of them. And it's just interesting, the natural leadership and the strength of some men sometimes.
Lee was a very capable officer, and he was very capable and competent all the way until the end of the war. And he was an absolute powerhouse.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And it took Grant to learn from these things. And Lee's audacious, this aggressive approach was something that he learned in the Mexican-American War. He knew that you could take heavily defended forces that were deeply entrenched and outnumbering you if you took the initiative, if you did something that the enemy wouldn't expect. He witnessed that in Churubusco, Mexico. He witnessed that in Mexico City. And he was, for all intents and purposes, the greatest soldier in the Mexican-American War. He was the bravest soldier.
That's interesting, man. I wonder, you know, who else mentions, I think, the Mexican-American War is your friend and mine, Ronnie in Ohio, and he knows history. So I wonder if I wonder what he would say about this stuff. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for the White History moment. Always quite informative. Daniel in Texas.
One more thing, as a side note, you have a caller that's in his 80s, and you wanted to call him a boomer, but he's not a boomer. He's a war baby.
Okay, a war is that a World War II? Is that a GI baby?
If they were born during the war,
is that silent generation? Or
no.
Is it, okay.
It's a war baby.
War baby.
I mean, you could say silent generation, but if you want to be real and talk the way they would talk at the time, it's a war baby.
I like that. I prefer that because nobody really. I mean, maybe they do understand.
Nobody at the time was saying, "Oh, this silent generation."
Yeah. War baby is a term often used to refer to children during or after wartime, particularly, most commonly, World War II and its aftermath. Interesting, man. Yeah, my let's see. Our parents are boomers, 70s, they're in their like 70s to like 60s, you know, 60s to 70s, late 70s, I think.
Uh-huh.
And you're right. That's people in their 80s and older are older than boomers.
Right. And it's because of World War II. Like if you're born during the Vietnam War or the global war on terror, it doesn't apply to you.
Right.
A war baby is someone who was born in World War II.
Yep. Cool, man.
Okay.
Thanks for the input.
Sure.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Terry in Oregon is on the line here. Terry, thank you for calling and holding. What's up?
Hi, happy Independence Day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Again, White History Month.
Yeah, White History Month.
Yeah.
And how do you feel that I no longer fight with the Irish about being white?
I don't care.
Nice.
Yeah, I never needed you to validate my whiteness or lack thereof.
Right on.
So, doesn't affect me at all.
Cool.
So I called in to dunk on the deaf people because it came up yesterday.
Yeah.
And I know you had a little argument with Ardeen about it.
Beautiful Ardeen. Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She is. She's pretty sharp sometimes.
She's colorful.
Yeah.
And she knows a lot, even if I don't agree with her about a lot. Oh, yeah. And before I get in, I think you've referred to me recently as a communist expert.
Our resident communist expert.
Yeah, and disability expert.
Right. I called it handicap expert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
It is.
I'm honored, and I will endeavor to bring light to these topics as best I can with my limited knowledge.
Much appreciated.
Okay, so the deaf people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware. I mean, people are deaf for different reasons. People can become deaf through their life.
Yeah.
But there are people born deaf, and deafness can be passed along to their children.
Whoa.
It's a trait that, you know, if your parents are deaf, you're likely to be born with the same conditions. And these conditions can be treated through like implants.
Like
now.
a cochlear implant?
Yeah, I think cochlear
Okay,
is
thanks.
the pronunciation. But yeah. So a lot of these people, though, because over time they've established a community where they're kind of separate from the rest of society, they have this deaf identity that they put above anything else, and they want to preserve it. So a lot of them choose not to treat their children's deafness.
Whoa.
So that they can, you know, have the joy of living in the deaf world, which is really ghetto.
That's awful.
And yeah, now most hearing parents who have a child who has some kind of deafness condition will understand that, you know, hearing to, you know, have one of your senses is better than to not. You know, and that deafness is a serious liability in this world, and that it will hold you back.
So true. Yep.
But because deaf people have established this, like, in their mind, vibrant community, they don't feel it's something that needs to be treated. But, I mean, from the outside looking into these communities, I mean, a lot of them are recipients of like public assistance, and they remain in a poverty cycle through generations, and then they're, you know, kind of setting up their children to inherit the same sort of dependency. So I don't know, any attack on the deaf community to me is good.
That's cool. You know what? I think you're right about that. Because it's an attack on the community, which is not an attack on the people. Because the community
I mean, people
is,
are
like
deaf
you said,
for different reasons, and
yep.
You know, and having a handicap isn't it. It's only as much of a handicap as you let it be.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that, you know, maybe I shouldn't say that, because, you know, what I've suffered with is not what other people have suffered with,
but there's truth to it, I think.
Yeah,
I totally get
mean,
what you're
you
saying.
have to make up your mind as an individual to live your best life and deal with whatever has been handed to you. Well, we have to pick up our cross and bear it. But yeah, I think it's a really negative thing when we encourage people to make an identity of their abnormalities or handicaps.
Yeah. Okay, so the backstory...
And when we cater to that as well, when we
Right.
have closed captioning now. So
Yeah. I mean, there is so much accommodation already in place that it doesn't have to be that hard of a life necessarily. You do miss out on a lot. You want to watch out when you're driving or walking around or whatever. Like you said, it's a liability. People, you can't hear if somebody's honking or yelling at you. They don't necessarily know that you're deaf. So they scream
yeah,
at
or
you.
you
They
can't
don't
hear
understand.
your pit bulls barking all night.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And then you sound awful when you speak because you can't hear yourself. So this is sort of being funny, but it's sort of true.
I'm sorry.
You know how they say, no, I don't know. They just sound kind of R-worded, retarded, right? I'm kidding around. I'm being funny,
You
but
have a deaf accent.
it's sort of true. But Yeah, Trump on his first day, or the Trump White House on their first day of the second administration, got rid of that. And I said that it was because, I mean, I have no idea, but in my mind, there's something that looks wrong about it. It's kind of like the black dads having their strollers. It just looks weak. It looks like you can easily make a mockery of it, whether it's real sign language or gibberish, which often happens. Some malicious communist sign language interpreter could say, don't listen to this Trump spokesman. They are all liars. And we wouldn't know. And then they'd make fun of us. And we can't have people making fun of Trump when Trump sets it up like that, kissing up to these people. And like you said, this accommodation of, I looked it up on far left Google, and Google AI explains deaf culture, a diverse group of individuals, the deaf community. It's and they participate in deaf culture and a strong sense of community. And it's nice that, like, you and I and the snake pit and the callers and the people who agree with Bond, there's a sense of community in the church, if you will. That's nice. But this is a community around a flaw. And the thing that you said about parents who would purposely continue a handicap that's unnecessary on their children is kind of like people who eat too much, eating together too much, or people who drink too much or smoke pot too much, doing that stuff together too much, enabling their flaw, you know? So that's so interesting. Very, very insightful, as often, Terry in Oregon. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
Have a happy 4th.
You as well. Bye.
Bye.
That's so cool. I mentioned Ron in Ohio. Ronnie in Ohio on the line here. How you doing, man? Oh, you sound like you're away from.
There we go.
There we go. That's
Here we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. You got to me a lot quicker than I was expected. I had to disconnect my earpiece.
Nice. You never know.
Yeah,
You got to. I keep you guys on your toes. You could be on hold for 2 hours, or you could all be on hold for a second.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate it. Happy 4th to you. Happy White History Month and happy Black Friday and all that jazz.
Right on, man. See, I knew I had that feeling that you celebrated, or at least good-naturedly acknowledged White History Month. Thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right on.
Yeah. So that call with Daniel in Texas about Robert E. Lee.
Yes.
It was fascinating. And the fascinating part about it is, and Mark from California kind of has the similar, I don't know what this adoration is or this admiration is for General Lee. I paint him as a loser. He lost the war, he surrendered. So I don't know why they're so obsessed and fascinated with his abilities and his capabilities.
But isn't it overly simplistic to call him a loser? He knew couldn't you just as easily say he knew when to quit for the good of the people or whatever?
Yeah, both of those things are possibilities and could be true. But it could be simplistic to say that he's a loser, but it's also accurate. The way that Daniel in Texas
if you lose a war, you're ascribing an identity to him as a loser. Would he identify as a loser? Would he take umbrage? Were he alive today? Would he take umbrage, knowing what you know about him, because you're a history buff? Would he get defensive, which would indicate that he agrees with you, at being called a loser?
if he were being emotional about it, maybe. I don't think he would be emotional about it. I think he would be manly about it and say, you know what, you're right, I lost, and kind of leave it at that. I don't think he would get caught up in his emotions and
which would
compare
make him
himself to other people or anything like that. I think he would accept the fact that by definition, he was a loser.
Right, but that would make him, by my definition of a loser, that would make him a good sportsman. He would have good sportsmanship or warmanship or something like that. To take it in stride, to be called a loser, that would make him not a loser in terms of, because when we say loser, a loser oftentimes can't admit that they're a loser, but everybody knows it. That type of thing. It's sort of
I wouldn't call him a sore loser.
Yeah, it's sort of a
I don't know if I can.
thing.
Yeah, I don't know if I can paint him as a sore loser.
Right. Nice. All right.
But it seems like Daniel in Texas was trying to paint him as a winner or as somebody that should be celebrated, and I just don't see that.
Well, did you hear Daniel mention that a big part of the reason the South had a chance, it seemed like Daniel was saying, a big part of the reason the South, the war could have gone either way, the South had a chance, was because of him, but also the South lost because of him. Daniel admitted that the South lost because of him.
That's very accurate.
Yeah.
Yep, that's very accurate.
So Daniel wasn't under any illusion that he was why, that he was not. Daniel knew that he was why because he went on a lack of info. Robert E. Lee did. General Lee and his men pushed too hard on a well-defended space, and that's why they had to surrender or something. So he gave a pretty accurate assessment. Was he not a formidable foe to the North during his time before that?
Was he yes, I don't think it was an easy victory for the North, and I don't think that the South went down without swinging. They definitely fought up until even past the point of surrender. Some people say that there were battles that happened after the surrender took place. Yeah, I bet. So and even to this day, you know, their grandchildren and great grandchildren still, or someday, you know, they say the South will rise again. So at some point they have this idea of fighting again to try to bring forth those ideals that the Confederates died for, or died trying to get, I should say. Yeah. But when I look at Lee, there's not enough attention to me paid to James Polk. You know, you and I have had that conversation before. We may have. Who is a winner and was president, and then there's not enough attention being paid to Ulysses S. Grant, who also became president. Robert E. Lee was never president of the United States, ever. And people would rather celebrate him than celebrate Polk and Grant, and that's what's fascinating to me. You know,
we do hear about Grant. Polk is even a smaller name. Grant is definitely a smaller name than Lee, but he's up there. Ulysses S. Grant, he's up there, but he's a smaller name than Lee because Lee is so prominent. But and you think that's unfair because they became president and Lee didn't. But being president doesn't necessarily make you as notable of a man necessarily. There are people in history who never were president, and they're just for whatever reason, people know about them. Like Thomas Jefferson, maybe, I don't know, or maybe Jefferson was a president.
He was president.
Ben Franklin.
There you go. Yeah.
Don't know much about history.
I wouldn't say that it's unfair that Grant isn't as widely known. It's, to me, like I said, it's fascinating to know that a lot of people tied to that heritage and that culture of the Confederacy, they would prop up Robert E. Lee as higher than Grant, even though Grant defeated him and then went on to become president and is on the $50 bill. That's what's fascinating, because what you said is true. Robert E. Lee's name is bigger, and he's definitely more celebrated on your show than Grant is. And it just blows my mind that the guy that defeated him in war and then went on to become president doesn't get the love or the credit that he deserves. And I don't think that means Robert E. Lee should get less attention or people shouldn't celebrate him more. It's just fascinating that people would celebrate the loser out of the two and not the winner.
You know, winning a game or winning a war, if you will, if you could call it winning, or losing a game or losing a war, and attaining a position, a name, a title, such as president, those aren't necessarily what makes a man, and definitely not what makes, nor even makes a man necessarily notable. It's the great and consequential things that you did, and the way the charisma that you had to command the respect of men around you in your time and since, that makes you notable. Like, there's just people who are just naturally more respectable and more commanding of a presence. And I don't know what these men were like, but I can easily imagine that an honorable person, two honorable men. Let's leave out whether they're honorable or not. Two honorable men. One could be far more known and noteworthy in the minds of his people looking at history than the other.
Yep, and that's fair. Yeah, I would never tell somebody that they have to feel a certain way about a certain individual. So the people that are more fascinated with Lee, like, more power to you. It blows my mind that's the horse that they choose.
Have you looked into Lee really much? And like the Mexican-American War, you're more into the War of 1812, huh, than the Mexican-American War, or am I wrong?
I mean, neither one of them were like more important to me.
Okay.
And they both had different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different ramifications. The War of 1812, there kind of wasn't a winner in it. And then the results of the Mexican-American War, that's how we expanded, and the United States was able to expand westward. So we wouldn't have states like Colorado and Nevada. Like, there would be, to me, like, putting it in short words, there would be no Las Vegas had we lost the Mexican-American War.
Oh, wow. So
there's no California gold rush without winning the Mexican-American War. So those things that happened historically, like the country as we know it today, wouldn't exist without that victory. It would be the people that are out in California, in New Mexico and Arizona, claiming that those areas are still Mexico. They didn't get the memo that the United States won the Mexican-American War, the same way that those people who still hold up Confederate flags and say the South will rise again,
Yeah.
They didn't get the memo that that Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse.
Interesting, man.
But it's okay.
Was Lee the top guy? Was he the top guy in the Mexican-American War? Was
he the top guy?
Yeah.
No. There was a lot of people who I would say made a name for themselves.
Yeah.
During that war. Zachary Taylor's probably one of them. He went on to be president. So I wouldn't say Lee is number one, but he definitely made a name for himself. He could have definitely made a name for himself had he won the Civil War, but the name that he made, as I said, he's the guy that surrendered to the other guy.
Isn't it interesting that he's an even bigger name than the president of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis?
Jefferson Davis. Yeah, very fascinating.
Yeah. I think that you would, if you were to know Lee, let's say he's up in heaven, I don't know, and let's say you get up to heaven too and you meet the man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you have the same personality and presence in heaven that you did on earth? I don't know. But
yeah, who knows?
I wonder what you would think of the man were you to see him in person, and just like work with him or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, as a black man in America now, I would thank him for surrendering so that we could move past the ills and the evils that slavery presented and that they were trying to preserve in their efforts. So I would thank him for surrendering and not fighting to his death and past his death to try to preserve that. So
Nice.
I'm grateful that he surrendered. I wanted to point that out to people, and
Yeah.
that's part of what's fascinating about it is because the people that celebrate him, most of them, not all of them, but most of them uphold those racist ideals. So to look at him with admiration, I'm like, ooh, like, this is the guy. He's the reason that slavery. He's one of the reasons that slavery no longer exists. He's the reason that the South didn't win the Civil War. So to look at him as a hero and you're a racist person, it's confusing, but that's what makes it fascinating.
One of the things you probably heard me say this, that I really admire about Trump is that he said that he would have tried to negotiate around the Civil War so that it wouldn't happen. And, you mentioned with Lee surrendering rather than fighting and keeping the continuing killing going.
Mm-hmm.
I admire that Trump likes peace, and I admire his out-of-the-box thinking where he's not kissing up to, oh, we fought a war to free the slaves, which people say that, and it's kind of like flippantly pretending that war is a good thing, and war is evil. It's nice the slaves are free. I'm glad. But war is not a good thing. But people pretend that war is a good thing because it was to free the slaves. But that's so misguided, I say. Peace is better than war, generally.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
When I studied the Civil War and I read about like the battles at Antietam, and you hear about the prison camps like Andersonville and other places, and all the death that happened in that short span of time, all American soldiers, all on American soil, it's an ugly part of history, and so many people are fascinated with it for the wrong reasons, and they celebrate it and look at it with awe for the wrong reasons. Because I agree with you, war is not a good thing, and to know that all of those Americans died over something that should have been worked out diplomatically, something that should have just been worked out in the halls of Congress.
Yeah.
To just know that so many Americans died in that, it's to me, it's a sad thing. So when people do bring up the Civil War, it's always a tough topic to talk about. And when they talk about it in a way that they wish that the South had won and the things that would have came with that, I shake my head, but I get it. They can't help the hatred that they have in their heart.
Yeah, people don't know what they're saying. People don't really ponder or think about reality of war and stuff like that. Nice.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you, Ronnie.
So,
Appreciate it.
Before I jump off, you kind of spoke a little bit on the Bible talk. Toynbee and how Mark says that Cush didn't exist. I wonder if Mark thinks that Moses was a fairy tale and if he knows about Moses' wife, Zipporah. And if he doesn't, I wanted to direct him to Numbers chapter 12.
Okay.
That's all I
Bible,
wanted.
Numbers 12, and that's about Moses. Wait, Moses and who?
His wife.
Zipporah.
He had a wife named Zipporah.
How do you spell Zipporah?
Zipporah.
Nice, I
It
spelled
might
it
have
right.
an H on the end.
Moses Zipporah. Cool, man. Thank you for the question. So Numbers 12 does Numbers 12 mention Cush or mention her ancestry or what?
Yeah, if you pull up just Numbers chapter 12, the first verse, it'll let you know where Moses' wife was from. And according to Mark, she was from a place that never existed.
And that in the Bible, it's spelled with a C. Is that it?
Yep.
But it's the same thing as the kingdom of Cush with a K. Is that correct?
It's exactly the same place.
Nice. Cool, man.
Yep. So I know Toynbee didn't mention it, but it's mentioned in the Bible. So
nice.
We'll see who the better source is, who the more reliable source is.
And I really say that it's putting words in Toynbee's mouth to call it a fairy tale, because Toynbee made no mention of it, I think that it's we don't know what Toynbee's position on the kingdom of Cush was, if he knew or cared or what he thought of it. And so
I think it's a
flaw in Mark's thinking. an
It
assessment.
is. It's a big jump to say, well, this guy never spoke on it, so it could have never existed. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like, to make that assumption it's without logic.
Fair enough. Thank you, Ronnie. Take care, man.
Yes, sir. Enjoy the fireworks. Enjoy the food. And have a good weekend.
Thank you, man.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care.
Take care.
And I'm laughing because Ronnie had me chuckling because he said, enjoy the fireworks. And people have been doing drone shows. Drones. Drones are more dangerous than fireworks, potentially. Although I heard that up in somewhere, Pacoima or somewhere, I guess it's out that way, somewhere, I don't know, Pacoima. It's outside of LA, I want to say. Maybe it's in San Fernando Valley. Some like houses caught on fire, and I don't know if it was fireworks related. They don't know, at least as of early this morning listening to the radio. But some houses caught major fire, and there were fireworks. So did the fireworks cause these houses to go ablaze? Something like that. That's not right. It's not good. I mean, these are illegal fireworks. It's kind of like the Mexicans firing up these fireworks. You're not supposed to... The lay person, okay, I sound like a liberal. I'm communist. Grew up in California where the fireworks that shoot up in the air, that's only allowed at like high schools and done by professionals, not by we normie families. We normie families just do those flowers that spin. Those are so cool. That's enough. And sparklers and snakes and snaps and fountains. And things that stay. They don't jump and dent license plates and stuff. But now the fireworks are illegal in many of these places. Terrible. So enjoy your fireworks. Happy Independence Day. Let me double check the super chats. G Fontes 1919 says, I'd be a resident native of the Confederate state of Florida, being the third to secede and was the vital source of beef and salt for the Confederacy. Wow, essential. Base Nation, very generous on Rumble. Happy 4th, indeed. Pastor Chatelet, I disavow Hank's disavowal of Hank. You know, I disavowed myself. What's up, 555555565? Martin Luther King was anti-war, and then he died. Jesse Jackson was his right-hand man who stabbed him in the back after he died. I don't know what you mean, if you mean metaphorically. With all that trash you hear about them came from Jackson. I'd like to throw them spinny things when they're flaming. 3D fireworks. Flowers are just awesome. Flowers are like a cylinder. You light it on one side, and it goes... It's so cool. I would show you on a YouTube video, but I don't have time. So I don't know. But thank you guys for your support. Carver said, Jason says, Hake, you got to take it easy. This is on buymeacoffee.com/the Hake Report. Hake, you got to take it easy. Play some Sonic the Hedgehog. Got to go fast, he says. Well, thank you, sir. Jason, thank you, sir. Carver, hey, Hake, happy 4th of July and WHM, White History Month. To celebrate this year, I want to shout out the name of our new greatest White History Month heroes. Here, let me show the screen. The Gators. Alligator Alcatraz is pretty much... I think this is it. Alligator Alcatraz is pretty much my favorite thing to happen in years. That's cool, man. Right on. You are making me think of pausing and appreciating. That's true. I haven't really had time to pause and appreciate, or at least taken the time. Alligator Alcatraz. Favorite thing to happen in years, and the timing just couldn't be better. Our alligator brothers have had a long history of chasing down undesirables, and it's really just wonderful to see them patriotically defending our country from the invaders. like many black babies. The meme, the black meme. One of our resident pharaoh claimed that racist whites fed black babies to crocodiles or alligators or something. I'm sure some of my Irish indentured servant ancestors were eaten by gators during the discovery and early building of America, and I, for one, am proud to be connected, even in a small way, to this great tradition. Also, shout out to Derek Chauvin. Yeah, that's a good thing to remember. Chin Up King, you were a horrible person according to CJ from Texas, but I still call you king. Derek Chauvin, chin up, bear up under this, what I call it, injustice. But you might have had it coming according to CJ's stuff, but even still, chin up. All is not lost. Life goes on, and even in prison, you can be free within. And I pray that for you, and be glad that that Asian wife of you divorced you. She was not faithful anyway. That's a disloyal woman who would divorce a man over something he did outside, and they smear you for being white. Although I don't know why she divorced you, but chin up, King. Sean Grayson as well. Mark the Shark. Kyle, John Wick, Jack Bauer, Rittenhouse. Thank you, Carver. Sean Grayson being the guy who felt he needed to shoot the woman in self-defense, he thinks, or he claims, for the hot water she was seemingly threatening to throw him. She assaulted him with the hot water. Rest in peace to that gal. But happy White History Month to all y'all. Very nice. Thank you, Carver. He's funny. Prep Ham Paul bought a coffee. What's up, Prep Ham Paul? Nice to see you, man. The generations who raised you did not have it as easy as you. Indeed, they didn't. So they wanted their children not to have it as hard as they did. And that may have been misguided. Motive. The problem is this makes weaker, spoiled generation, he says. But we forgive your generation for allowing yourselves to be weak. XD. Scrunchy face. Big smile. You're even cutting your generation slack. That's an excuse, Hake. Your parents spoiled you. Boo-hoo. Stand up. XD, big smile, scrunched face. Happy White History Month. Thank you, Prep Ham Paul. Very kind. We love boomers here on the Hake Report, if we love anyone. And I don't know if Prep Ham is a boomer. But yeah, the Gen Xers also even scoff at us millennials and younger. Us soft, weak, girly, give us a medal for a participation trophy. People. Eric, 10 coffees, very generous. Cesar or Caesar asked why today's men are weak betas. The founding fathers' women possessed virtue, he says. Men today are weak because, he says a term called WH whores, aren't good wives and mothers. Aren't whores paid, though? I mean, I guess they get paid some way. There's less incentive to be a strong masculine man because women today are weak, insufferable, we'll call them loose women, loosey-goosey. Now I made it sound cute. That's not right. The masculine, he said whores, okay? Don't say that, though, kids, too much, anyway. The masculine and feminine are opposites who depend on each other. Or opposites that depend on each other, fulfilling their role. When women lack virtue, society falls into degeneracy, the fallen state. Is Eric really Pearl? Shout out to Pearl and Eric. Thank you. Popcorns, Thump Keg. Happy White History Month to you, sir. Or AI. Are you in favor of the big, beautiful bill passing? I am, only because it's Trump. What aspects of it do you agree with? Do you agree with it? What aspects of it do you agree with it? Border spending, and I suppose defense spending, and no tax on tips and stuff like that, and overtime, and cutting taxes, especially for businesses. Those are the aspects that I agree with. What areas of spending that it allows for are you against? I don't know, but I'm sure there are some. If you do support it, presumably you've read more in it that you agree with than you disagree. I have not read anything in it. I've only read about it, and yeah, overall, I agree more than I disagree. I find it interesting that people who are traditionally budget/deficit hawks are pretty quiet. Yeah, indeed. Because there's things more important than budget and deficit. All of a sudden, the raising the debt ceiling isn't problematic. Yeah, because we're actually spending it on Americans, which is first time in my life, according to Cernovich, who is a journalist who and an analyst who knows what's going on in the country more than like you and me, you know. So it's always been, they've always spent, especially the past, we'll say 20 years, 25 years. So there are things more problematic than our money being worthless. We have cartels who are hanging people and beheading them and doing horrible things. Sorry, kids and ladies. Pardon me, I mean. And many of them are coming here. So I'd rather go through another depression, not that I've ever experienced one, than I would, and have like, you know, peaceful white people to be around and stuff, than go through like a recession, less of a depression, and have these criminals tearing apart society, you know? That's even more destructive, I say. But you guys can care about your money. Lastly, as it relates to Carmelo Anthony, I was surprised to hear you say that you hope he gets put away for a long time rather than pray that justice be done. I wasn't saying rather than justice be done. Anyway, if it was a justified killing, you certainly wouldn't be in favor of him going to jail. That's correct. If it were, but I'm pretty sure it's not. But I'll play along. Maybe I should repent and pretend that, oh yeah, maybe it was justified. So I take it you've abandoned wait and see? I suppose I have there, man. I take it you've adopted wait and see all of a sudden, Popcorn? I noticed that the blacks are all of a sudden for a wait and see. But since they're blind, they think that the whites are all of a sudden not for waiting and seeing. Yeah, crazy. Anyway, the zesty one. Yeah, so you might have gotten me, though, man. So I grant you that you might have gotten me, Popcorn. In terms of Hake being a hypocrite or whatever. The zesty one, with a coffee, talking bad about people with disabilities now? No, they don't have disabilities. They have handicaps. I don't agree with the term disability. That's a communist buzzword. You can't care about heaven. Mark hears what he wishes, so he's in. Don't say this word, kids, but he says idiot. Most Americans are not happy today after the passing of that ugly, all caps, bill. Do you think the Confederacy should have won? No, I don't think so. I am for what is. I'm not for should have, you know? Even though you may often hear me say should have, but when you pin me down, I would rather deal with / learn to deal with what is and accept what is. Sad fact, in college, I had friends who had a rebel flag in their rooms. What's sad about that? That's beautiful. It's called diversity. Yesterday when we were talking about Little Rock Central, did you know that's an historic national park? No, I didn't. Saddens me that we lost Ronnie. He is on your side. He's not on any side. He is his own man. Man. At least that's what you should want, to agree and disagree, or neither agree nor disagree. But Chuck promised he would be called back this month, so here's for hoping. That's right. Is that Dr. Detroit? With his White History Month contributions, smearing whites. Also, how did no one ever notice when you called JLP the N-word, that's when you developed a beta back? Be quiet, man. That sounds like you're trying to imply something nasty. Okay, anime, cute shirt. Thanks, man. Happy 15 days after Juneteenth. Really? Oh, and the Richard Hake comment? That's just a coincidence, that guy. Okay. I just remembered you saying you had a relative named Richard a few years back because we both love Richards. Bye. Yeah, I really like that name, Richard, and I like that. I want to bring back the short name for Richard not being a big deal to hear. I mean, I don't mind a little chuckling and making fun because it's funny, it's immature, and I'm all for immaturity. But, you know, there's back in the day, people were called Richard, and then they were called for short. And like Gregory, Dick Gregory. But that's not the first Richard, short name for Richard that I think of. I think that we should bring it back with a vengeance. So nice. And thank you guys. I'll have to get to the rest of your super chats in a bit. I want to try to plow through all of y'all's calls. Richard in Germany, speaking of Richard, what's up, man? Thank you for calling and holding a first-time caller. What's up?
Hey, that's quite a segue into one of the greatest names.
Yeah.
Hake, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, man.
The etymology of the word, actually, when I meet folks and find out their names, I always ask them, hey, what does your name mean? And, 9 times out of 10, I get I don't know. I say, well, Richard means, it's the Old English, the etymology is rich and powerful ruler. But I'm wondering where that rich and powerful stuff for me is coming from.
That's
but
cool.
I wanted to wish y'all a happy Independence Day, and I know it's about 7:25 p.m. here. I'm retired military, retired back in 2017.
Okay.
And stayed. So it's nice out here, but having a European wife keeps me here, though.
Okay.
Just wanted to.
Interesting.
Just wanted to just wish y'all well, and I'm thankful for your show. I'm thankful for Pastor Jesse Lee as well. When I was in the States a few months back looking after my mom, I don't know how it got on the YouTube algorithm, but the silent prayer, and that has really changed things. And it's the dangerous thinking that got me into the heap of trouble that I had. And now when I'm not thinking, I'm living.
Right
It's
on,
amazing.
man.
But anyway, have a great rest of your show, and thanks again.
Thank you, Richard. It's great hearing from you. I appreciate it. Hope to hear from you again if you ever wish. And may I ask, how are you calling? Are you using like an international card or type of thing?
No, so I live a few minutes from Ramstein Air Base, where I retired out of, and so they have the base operators, and I can call them and get patched through to a line where that allows me to call back to the States. So being an 800 number,
Cool.
That's an easy thing to do.
Right on, man. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk again, I hope. Take care.
Yes, sir. God willing.
Right
Have
on.
a great one.
You as well. That's cool. Let me I have to get to Haden. Oh! Haden in Texas. I wanted to get to you next. My apologies, Haden. He was on hold forever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. And you know who else has been on hold forever and ever and ever and ever? Amen. Rick in Hampton, VA. Rick, you called in early, man. How you doing?
Yeah. What's going on? What's going on, Brother James?
Not much. Happy White History Month to you.
Hey, yes, sir, man. My white brothers and sisters, man. Thank God for you all.
Yeah.
My Japhethites, because you know in the Bible how it says, Japheth is the descendants of the white race, Ham is the descendant of the black, and Shem is the descendants of the Jews and Arabs. So, my Japhethite brothers, happy White America Month. I love you guys. Y'all keep on doing what y'all doing. Keep serving God.
Thank you, man. Very kind. That's cool.
Yes, sir. And shoot, I wanted to comment with Happy Independence Day. I hope y'all guys go see some fireworks, enjoy some barbecue.
Nice.
And but I want to come in over just talking about single fathers in the black community, how high it is.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times the good black men try and talk to the black women, trying to tell them, hey, this is what we're looking for. We don't care about women's careers and stuff. And then they get up and say, y'all just can't stand a strong black woman. Look, the average woman, you want to see how the average woman act there, Brother James, all you got to do is look at CNN, MSNBC, look at all those liberal black women on there, and that's your average black woman.
Wow. Interesting point.
You know, really talk.
Yeah.
You know, because
attitude, know-it-all, liberal,
yeah, exactly.
meddling, mess. Interesting.
That's it. That's your average black woman now in today's world, and that's why they are, in my opinion, are the least women that want to be dated.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to deal with the combativeness. None of that. I mean, I tell people, you want to look at the average black woman, just sit down and look at CNN, MSNBC, look at those black journalists on there, and that's your average black woman. That's why when the African lady came to President Trump, the journalist,
yep,
you saw how professional and humbling she was.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Very humbling and beautiful.
True.
So most black journalists Trump did, they combative. So I'm glad President Trump gave props to where it was due. She was very humble, kind, professional, and that's the kind of women most men are looking for. Not only just black men, white men, Hispanic men. That's what they're looking for.
Indeed.
But like I said, now go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, James.
I said indeed. That's true.
You know, and I like to say too. On that same note, the women that make up the Democratic Party, white liberal women and black liberal women makes up the Democratic Party today. And then when they do have men, either they're gay or they are transgender. They're not no alpha males.
Or they're just not Christian.
James?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
They seem feminine into their emotions, all the hand motions and stuff. Just de-emasculating men.
Yeah.
And then the men they have on there are married to another man in most cases.
Oof. Yeah.
You know, so
good point.
That's the thing I be noticing. But the whole thing is, you know, just that we're not hard to accommodate. Just that it's the liberal women that makes most of the Democratic Party.
Yeah. That's a fact, Jack.
You know, and we don't care for that, and I'm glad
it's because it's a mama spirit.
Sort of wake up.
The party's
would say, James?
The party's platform is a mama spirit.
Exactly my point.
And the Republicans are falling into that too. Just like a weak father and a weak husband would cater to the evil wife, the weak Republicans are catering to the evil Democrats. Shout out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess they figure if that works for the Democratic Party, keeping the black vote locked down, it'll work for us.
Yeah.
And that's probably what they're seeing, the same thing. Because, like I said, I mean, the white liberal women, the black liberal women make up most of the Democratic Party today.
Good point, man.
And that's the truth, man. And we looking for men, man. Most time men. We don't look for nothing much, man. You know, like even with the single fathers, when you get a black man, a black woman talking about how they can solve the issues, single fathers in the black community, you'll tell a lot of alpha black males be on us and say, hey, look, we don't want women that have children already. They've got involved with the wrong man.
Yeah.
Now they got kids. Now the high value man don't want to deal with that.
High value man. That's funny. That's
funny
vernacular.
Don't want to have to. Right, they don't want to deal with that.
It's true.
And so they go on to the next one, and then what happens, and then they push. I'm a strong mother. Well,
not true.
You know,
it's a lie.
Multiple baby fathers. We don't want none of that mess.
Yep. Great
you
call.
Know,
Rick.
You know. That's what I would encourage. If a single woman or a single man, they came to me and said, hey, look, I met a man. He had 3 kids, 2 baby mamas. I met a woman with 3 kids and 3 baby daddies. I'll say run like hell.
That's right.
Make your
You don't
own
want to get
family.
involved with that. Don't be so
Right, 'cause-
emotional that you feel sorry for or fall for.
And the
the
Democratic Party
wrong
pushes that
type
too.
of person. You're not doing them any favor. And you're not doing yourself any favor. You're going to
Right.
make them more miserable and yourself. It's evil.
That's right. And James, and a lot of people don't realize when a woman has a child before her time, it lowers her dating value. It really do.
Of course.
It don't make her less of a person. It lowers her dating value.
That's right. And dating value
and
is not your life value. So just live your life without the dating stuff. The dating is not life. In many
Right.
cases, it's death and misery and a distraction, and it makes stuff worse. So nice.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Yes, sir. And that's all. And only the single fatherhood is gonna stop. It's that, like I said, when good men is not gonna want a black woman to combativeness, the
Right.
strong black woman. You can't handle a black woman because we're not into a woman's career. We care less about a woman's career. We really
True.
do.
Yeah.
We don't care about a woman's career because we
That's
ain't
right.
getting them most of them. They're not gonna spend the money on us anyway.
Yeah.
We don't care about your careers.
Yeah.
All we look for, men look for, is beauty, able to have children, your cooperation, and good health.
Nice.
That's all we look for.
I got to keep it moving, Rick.
We don't
It's
look-
great hearing from you.
Oh, okay, James. Well, happy Independence Day, happy White History Month, brother James. Keep it moving, my brother. And before I let you go, James, what do you think about President Trump's bill? How do you think it would benefit us? Well, everybody, really.
We shall see. I don't really have a strong opinion either way, but since it is Trump and since it is for some of those things that I mentioned earlier, the border and security and stuff, I think that's good. I think that's cool.
I believe so too, James, because here's how the Democrats kind of always say that a bill is bad. If we don't help the poor, because a lot of programs like tax breaks, the poor can't take advantage of that. If you don't make any income, you can't take a tax write-off.
That's right.
But the whole thing to it is you have to come out of poverty. You have to come out of poverty and be able to generate money. And when you generate money, you can see how being in a lower tax bracket benefits you.
Right.
How
Good point. Since they're doing that, since they're doing that progressive tax stuff where poorer people aren't taxed as much, you might as well take advantage of the benefit. Rick, it's good talking with you, man.
Okay. All right, Jay. They're going to hold you up, man. Love you, man. Be blessed, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good 4th of July.
You as well. Wow. My goodness. Alex in Tennessee. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Hake?
Doing well.
Nice. Happy Independence Day.
Thank you.
You
too.
everybody. And I just wanted to do a little shout out to White History Month. This is a white man that I can't name, but I can tell you what he did. He's a guy I did some work for. He was a SEAL team commander.
Okay.
And he did, amazing things all for a very long time. He's an older boomer white man, and he told me something one time when I was talking to him one day, and he said, I've been all around the world. I've seen all kinds of different places, all kinds of different governments, and how they do things, and the kind of things that people get to do, what they don't get to do, how people are treated in all these different places. And he says, America, it's not perfect. We definitely have our problems, and it's not a perfect situation, but I can tell you this, it is the best show in town. I guarantee you that. And that was really interesting. I didn't really quite understand what he meant about best show in town, because it really is a show. But it's a good one. I mean, in the sense that it's convincing. Like, people have, stop paying your taxes. You'll find out how free you are. Stop, do this or do that.
Right.
And that isn't, and you'll find out just how free you really are here. And It's not perfect.
Speak like Kanye or Nick Fuentes and find out how free to bank and do business you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, look at all the editing and self-censorship you guys have to do in order to stay in business.
Right.
I mean, this is.
Thankfully, it's not anything that actually even matters.
It doesn't ultimately, but
Yeah.
but really, the true freedom is the spiritual freedom.
That's right.
That where you render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's,
Yep.
and to God that which is God's, and that's the point being is that the United States was created by white men with the help of God, and it is a secularized version of a Christian idea of freedom. And the fact that you are the master of your destiny, and that you can basically chart your own course in the sense of how you live your life, and it's convincing enough as a show that look at all the wonderful things that have happened as a result of the existence of the United States. I like air conditioning. I like rock and roll music. I like baseball and football and barbecues outside and pool parties and
barbecues
I like all
every
that
day,
stuff.
like that rapper is saying.
Yeah, I mean,
take
I
their
like
minds
trucks
off
and
the
cars.
hood. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but I like trucks and cars, and I mean, there's so many things that came into existence as a result of this show that
Called
isn't
America.
a perfect. Yeah, called America, and it is a show. And it does not necessarily live up to its promise in a literal sense. And that's why, people have to, go within so that they can become free in a more profound way. But I would much rather have this show continue as opposed to be ruled by some other show.
Right.
Because the darkness of the human heart continues no matter where you're at.
That's a fact.
It's a pretty good version. Yeah. Anyway, there you go.
Cool. I much appreciated. Thank you for your white history contribution. Man, Alex in Tennessee. Take care, man.
Nice.
All right.
You too. Thanks, man. Bye.
Bye. Wow. And William in California. Let me make sure that I'm pressing the right thing. William in California on the line here. William, thanks for calling and holding, man. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, Jake? Man, that video you were showing with the baby strollers, man.
Barf. Terrible.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. That's all I got to say. No way. You want to see an argument between my parents? No way.
Oh, were your father to push a stroller and do a photo shoot about it?
Hell no. Hell no.
That's a time to cuss too, by the way. That's ridiculous.
Man, excuse me. That wouldn't be happening. It wouldn't be happening.
Yep.
If you don't get, and I'm not going to say her name, you don't get these babies away from me until they got some teeth and walking.
That's right.
It wouldn't happen.
That's
it
right.
would not
That's
happen.
the woman's job. Men take over when the kid is, like you said, has teeth and is walking, like age 3 or so.
This would not have happened.
Yep.
No. I'm sorry that you guys have a generation that would do something like that, but
terrible.
No. As for this handicap thing we were talking about with the sign language thing,
yeah,
it is goofy as hell.
Right.
And it was not in your face back in the day. They did not do that.
That's right.
I mean, they read your lips very well.
Good point.
And as far as having somebody on the side doing sign language, back in the day, they didn't do that. They didn't do that because they were quite aware in the first place. From first place, they are very aware. They read lips. You look over to one of them. Do you know what they said? Yes, they do. No, they know everything that's going on around them.
I know they're acting like White House
crazy.
press conferences are the only source of information. You can read the press releases. You can read the transcript. You can read the subtitles. You can do all
No.
kinds of things. And you can read lips, like you pointed out.
I had a friend that was deaf. He didn't even like that. Did you know that? He didn't like that.
I
He
believe
used to tell
it.
people, don't even start making those signs with me because you don't know what you're saying with your fingers. You might be saying the wrong thing. And then, you know what I mean? He was cool.
Right.
He went out with us to the clubs. He got women. He did everything we did. He rocked out at the rock shows and the clubs and danced and felt vibrations and red lips, and he didn't want nobody doing that to him. So that's what I said. I disagree. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Surely, and happy White History Month.
Thank you. Same
well.
to you. Appreciate it.
And but I wanted to get to something. Did I hear some reference to the Little Rock Nine yesterday in a super chat? What was that all about?
I think you did. I think that was. Is that a reference to like forcing black kids into white schools or something like that and segregation?
You mean forced integration that they did over at that high school?
I think so. Yeah.
What did that super chatter have to do with any of that?
Nothing. Just hatred and resentment and a grudge over something that had nothing to do with them.
Was that the sissy in Arkansas?
I hate to say it, but yes.
I'm gonna be nice. I'm not gonna push it. That's what it is. It's what we call it.
Right.
You ain't had nothing to do with the Little Rock Nine.
Yeah.
Them people's dead.
Relax.
Maybe 2 or 3 of them are alive. I think one of them's still alive. That tall black girl. She's. I think she might still be alive.
And
maybe.
she probably doesn't even mind.
Hardly nobody alive from that.
Yep. And they didn't mind as much as the people today pretend to mind.
Man, that school ain't famous for nothing.
There's nothing to get worked up over.
Was pandering. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. A middle to the end high school that's like out of 35,000 high schools in the country, it's in the middle. It's nothing special.
That's right.
It's just something that happened and it's over. And none of the kids that go there now got anything to do with that.
Yeah.
How do you think Trump's doing it? He's just pretty much done knocked everything out the park before Independence Day.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, he's
like
doing everything.
JLP pointed out on his show today that everything he puts his hands to, he succeeds at it.
Everything he said he's going to do, he did it. The judges ain't stopping him.
Right.
Nothing. And then the bill done passed.
Mm-hmm. So cool.
What's the alligator? What's this alligator Alcatraz thing? I see that the blacks, since it is Black Friday, they were at the gate and got the gate slammed in their face, just like Maxine Waters got the door slammed on her.
Yeah.
Told them they couldn't come in. Did you see what's his name? What is it? Akeem Jeffries with his 9-hour speech.
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
Maxine Waters and all of them sitting around clapping their hands, going, "Yes, yes, amen." Yeah, he did a 9-hour speech. You talking about it? You ain't doing nothing. Trump is doing everything he wants to do. Let me see. He got the Iran thing done.
Yep.
Told you we wasn't going to war with them. Didn't I tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, got that done. Illegals getting deported. Got the judges slapped in the head so they can act right. Everything's working.
Yeah.
So how you think your boy is doing in the little bit of time that he's been there? What do you think?
I'm really
how do you
impressed.
grade his job?
I'm impressed. I find him to be a capable man, which is admirable nowadays.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, Robert E. Lee was always celebrated. It doesn't matter that he lost, Ronnie.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You have great generals in this country, MacArthur, Patton. Robert E. Lee's one of them. He was a good leader.
Yeah.
He had a lot of integrity. He was just a stand-up guy. And I don't know, based on what's going on in Ohio, speaking of Ohio, Ronnie, can you explain to us what's going on at that private pool area that people are paying rent for, and the blacks went over there and took it over?
I heard somebody sent a super chat about that.
Maybe the South should have won. And look what happened in Chicago. 14 shot, 4 dead.
Wow.
And they had something else happen this morning, Black Friday.
Yep.
They had something else happen in Chicago this morning. 3 kids were stabbed in a burning building. 1 died.
Wow.
Black Black Friday.
Man, oh man.
And they've been acting up since Juneteenth, haven't they?
They really have. You know, when the weather gets warmer, they go outside and cause trouble.
There's an old saying. It's three things, and somebody gonna die. Sunshine, barbecue, and malt liquor. Somebody gonna die.
Ronnie from Ohio says that he doesn't speak for Ohio. He disclaims Ohio, and I don't blame him.
We love Ohio. We love
too.
Ohio, but boy, they got some ignorant Negroes out there that can act up, man.
It's
Let me
terrible.
tell you, they took over that. They took that pool party, that pool area. You ought to see that, man. That thing looked like a scene out of Planet of the Apes. I mean, and the white people were looking out their window on their patios, filming it, saying, "There's nothing we can do. There's just nothing we can do, Marge." They took it up. What's wrong with the blacks?
William, I gotta run. I have to be fair to the rest of my callers. Good to hear from you, man.
Yeah. And my tribute today is she's white. It's Margaret Thatcher, the Prime Minister of England. That's my tribute for White History Month.
Fair enough. Take care, man.
Take care.
All right. And Mark in Los Angeles, California. Mark, go. Happy White History.
Yes, sir. Happy White History Month. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you. You as well.
Okay, now, I got to clear this up once again on this fairy tale that it sounds like you've been had.
I'm totally falling for it.
But it sounds to me like you accept this nonsense.
I do.
Okay.
Well, in terms of, I believe it existed. I don't know how notable it was, but it was notable for the time. Anymore, nothing too lasting, I guess. But according to Ronnie, it's in the Bible.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Does it say that it lasted 1,000 years? Does it say they were Negroes? Did it say that it was a great civilization? I'm not even going to look it up because they will. Satan's people will hide behind the Bible. Satan's people will hide behind Encyclopedia Britannica, which has been tainted by CRT. Curious enough, since Ronnie brought up Encyclopedia Britannica, there was a time when they described Negroes as the N-word.
Right.
It
was purely descriptive. It wasn't even derogatory. Am I right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but Ronnie wants to put all his faith in Encyclopedia Britannica. They're looking for a way to say, "Hey, we're equal to you, Whitey." Even if it's fake history and a fairy tale, it'll make us feel better about ourselves. I'm not going to bother to look that biblical verse unless you tell me that it says in Numbers that it was a black civilization that lasted 1,000 years, and then I'll believe it. I'll stand corrected. Now, let me read this again because it is the 4th of July, and I think patriotic white nationalists should know this.
Note that we 2 minutes, and then I have to end. Go ahead.
Yeah, the black race alone has not contributed to any civilization as of yet. That's Arnold Toynbee, the world's greatest historian. If you want to believe a bunch of blacks who hate whites and are forcing this lie in history on us, just go to that part of Africa. See if there are any remains. Name a name from Cush that was famous in world history. Name a contribution they've made to history. Anybody that in that fairy tale. Just name that. If you feel like looking up numbers in the Bible that's going to justify this lie, let me know, and then I'll look it up. I'm not taking Ronnie at his word. Anybody that would believe in Encyclopedia Britannica just because it says so is not to be believed. Now, before I go, is Haden still waiting online?
No, he disconnected. I couldn't get to him in time. So wish him well.
Bad. He's good. Ronnie's not a bad guy.
Right.
It's just that he's so desperate to find some way to say, "Hey, we're equal to you." He'll lie to do it. And I'm not saying he's lying, but he's depending on lies and misinformation for example, from Encyclopedia Britannica, who used to describe the black race in a word he doesn't want to hear. But now, because they've justified his fairy tale, they're all good. They're all to be believed. And,
Gotcha, man. I got to go. Good to hear from
God
you, man.
bless you, Hake. Have a good
You as
weekend.
well. All right.
Bye-bye.
And guys, the Fallen State is coming up next. Peace in the Middle East, or at least in your hearts, maybe. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day. Bye.
I told you right for one of the years that we had a course, but one of the courses came down from the opposite direction.